Hello and welcome to the Queber channel. I'm Jason, your host, and I'm having a good day. I finally took my new server out of testing. Now, I've always had servers. I've always liked them. Most of them have been servers that I've basically evolved a normal PC into a server, added more hard drive space, put something like Unraid on, or FreeNAS, or something else on it, and then run my stuff from there. My Plex, my storage system, and so on. But they've always been lacking. They've always been just shy of what I wanted, and it's always niggled me. It's always bothered me because my brain is very autistic, and the idea of a real server, as in a server from a enterprise level server, one that is really built to last, well, that has been something I've always wanted and dreamed about, but the prices are crazy, and so I had to leave off that. But I used to have, like, okay, calm down. The little dog is doing the guard dog duty because you can hear someone's car outside. I used to have an Unraid server in that cupboard. I used to have a gaming server over there running. The one over there that is still there, just sitting there, not used anymore. And the Unraid server is in there, but not turned on. And I would have 4 Plex. I'd have that one for storage, that one for gaming and AI, and one downstairs that would be super fast for Plex. So these 3 systems were because I couldn't ever afford a real system, a super system. A system that would make my brain happy, completely happy. And while I loved the innovation of the janky and building stuff and that, I always dreamed about having one of these systems. So, after much research, about 6 weeks ago, I sold a few items in the house, part of my coping strategies. I got rid of a tablet, I got rid of a phone, I got rid of one of my Steam Decks. Things like that, things that I weren't actually using. This was time for an invest in something that was actually really important. Well, how can I put this? It was scary because I was basically putting all my eggs into one basket. If I built this, if I used this, and what if it was too loud? What if I couldn't stand the noise? What if this happened? What if that happened? Well, I looked through and did a lot of deep diving and research, and I decided on a specific one, and that was the Dell PowerEdge R730 XD. For some times I have to keep looking at the name because my brain for some reason switches the XD around and always wants to say R730 DX. That sounds better in my brain than XD, and so my brain always wants to say that. And so I started. This was a server that was a couple of generations old, which mean that most data centers and that were getting rid of them and replacing them with newer stuff, but they were not so old that they were a power hog, not so old that they would basically destroy my electricity bill, not so old that they were inefficient and the CPUs weren't able to keep up with modern titles and things like that. So after a big look, I mean, I had to look all around, I was scouring eBay, I came upon a system for sale. It was actually an auction, and it was at about £190 at the time when I saw it. Now, I knew it would go higher than this because this was an R730 XD with 128GB ECC DDR4 memory. It had 48TB of SAS drives, mechanical drives. It had the two most powerful, or close to the most powerful, CPUs of the generation on it, and I loved it from the first moment I saw the listing. I did. So at this point in time, that's when I put up all my items on eBay and sold them, and I was getting the money together to buy it, and I knew it was going to be a bit, and I knew I'd have to buy a few things for it. So I needed some buffer because, remember, being disabled, I mean, the only stuff I ever have to sell, to make money is to sell stuff in the house, to buy new stuff. Getting rid of one coping strategy to create a new coping strategy. And so I got it home, and from the first moment I turned it on, I absolutely loved it. I was going to put it in a cupboard, but I realised that the amount of cubic foot of air that goes through one of these, unless I had a external fan in the actual unit I put it in, it would overheat. So it went in my kitchen. My kitchen became the server room. I stuck 2 monitors on it, which were very useful, and I started testing it. I tried many different operating systems, but what really gelled with me was Windows Server 2022, which is basically based around Windows 10. It's got the GUI of Windows 10, and it feels comfortable, and I love it. And just imagine Windows 10 with a few changes, well, massive changes, but from visually a few changes, and all the bloatware removed. It's really nice. So set it all up. First thing I did was install my Plex on there, and then did some tests. Well, then I connected to my network, which was a 1 gigabit connection to start with, because it only had 1 gigabit connections. This wasn't really ideal because I was going to do things that would be over the bandwidth of that. 4K movies and stuff like that, Blu-ray stuff going through it. So I upgraded the daughter-board to a 10 gigabit. My house has a 10 gigabit internet, Ethernet cable set up between all my computers. So yeah, that worked. I also have Wi-Fi 6E, so the bandwidth is really good in the area. The server isn't Wi-Fi itself. It doesn't need to be. It connects to the router system, which has Wi-Fi via a 10 gigabit cable. I still need to wire that somewhere. So everything is working really well. I then installed first City of Heroes game server on there. Then I installed Deep Space Engineers on there, and 7 Days to Die server on there. Got them all running using any of the resources that damn thing has. Got all that working, everything working perfect. Then I connected in virtual desktop on there and installed every game I own. 36 terabytes of games on the system, and using Steam Play, I now play most of my games by streaming them from that unit downstairs. This has all been something I've always wanted to do. It means I can basically game on any system. I can stream from my main unit downstairs, which in theory means in the future I don't ever have to build up multiple PCs in the house. All I have to do is have one PC, the server, and maybe one day upgrade it. I got a graphics card for it called an A4000, which is like equivalent to a 30, between a 3080 Ti and a 3090. It's really powerful and good. And that sounds like a beep boo. And generally, it works. Everything I've tried, everything I've thrown at it, it works, except for one thing, but I know that's what to do with VRchat permissions, and I need to tweak something to get it work. But apart from that, every game I run through it on this main PC from down there. I have hardly any stuff installed on this computer at all, game-wise. It all comes from the server downstairs. It's been in testing for the last 6 weeks, and now I'm confident that it can do the job. And from now on, it's like cool as fuck, to put it lightly. And the most awesome thing is, I've hooked up my Quest 3 runs through virtual desktop on that server, and I basically put my headset on for my Quest 3 and I can control my server and access it and play all my server games on there. Works no problem at all. It's crazy how well it works. And so I'm happy because I've finally got the server computer system that I've always wanted. In theory, with the right streaming software, I could stream games from my server downstairs to my phone, to a tablet, to a Chromebook, to a smart TV, anything. I can connect to it and use it as the main PC for the house. This means going forward, and the processor on it is fucking amazing. It's got, they're not the most powerful compared to normal PCs. Xeon processors aren't as powerful per thread, but they have the muscle because they have so many threads. It's got 2 CPUs. Each CPU has 16 cores, and in total with the hyperthreading 32 threads. So that's 64 threads in total between the two of them. And I haven't found any game that slows it down, especially at 1080p or 1440p. So yeah, I am very, very happy. Yay, this is a good day. This has made me happy. That I've thrown everything at it that I could ever want to have on there, and it's just handling it like amazing. So bye bye for now.